Hey everybody, what's up? We're back on another video. Guys, powered Bobby and True today. We're back on another video. I told you guys I was gonna be out for Veterans Day, and we are right now. Oh jeez! Stop laughing, God. Too loud! Oh my goodness gracious. Yes. Holy crap! These United States to a country that was thankful for the sacrifices made. Yo, that's too loud. And as he sees a oh, jeez. Your team keeps going. Start off with a video like this. Alright guys, there we go. That's what we started off with. Alright. It starts off by right now.
Which one? Got it.
Turn left.
Got it. Okay. So this is for let's go. We out.
Wait, what? Damn! I would have shit down the wood. Dad!
Okay, go find a seat.
What's up, Ricky? Loki. He's on camera. You two better move over more. I'm right over here. So what are you just recording? Yo, what are you're still gonna be...
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
like to recognize our invited veterans. Please stand when your name is called. We would ask that you please hold your applause until all of the names have been called. Mr. Robert Barnes, Specialist First Class, United States Army. Mr. Joseph Seary, Corporal, United States Marine Corps. Dr. Patrick Demore, Captain, United States Navy. Mr. Vincent Dijon, Specialist 5, National Guard. Mr. Matthew Fortna, Lieutenant, United States Navy. Mr. Richard Frost, Specialist E4, United States Army. Mr. Joseph Granada, Colonel, United States Marine Corps. Mr. Timothy Geiger, Sergeant, United States Air Force. Mr. Andrew Helwig, Specialist E4, United States Army. Mr. Timothy Kacklemeyer, Corporal, United States Marine Corps. Mr. Harry Loomis, Sergeant, United States Marine Corps. Mr. Frank Needham, Captain, United States Air Force. Mr. William Navarro, Corporal E4, United States Army. Mr. Doug Prince, Senior Master Sergeant, United States Air Force. Mr. Dennis Roach, Captain, United States Navy. Mr. Jim Stanger, Lieutenant Colonel, United States Army. Charles St. George, Seaman, United States Navy. Mr. Walter Settlemeyer, Hospitalman, First Class, United States Navy. Mr. James Zedzoka, Sergeant, United States Army. Mr. Joe Pagan, Master Sergeant, United States Air Force. Mr. John McCutcheon, Sergeant, United States Army, and Petty Officer, Second Class, United States Navy. We apologize if we've forgotten anyone. Please stand at this time if you are a veteran. Can we please give a warm welcome to all of our veterans?
Please honor the moment of silence. Thank you.
First off, I'd like to say good morning to the Fredonia student body. Welcome my fellow veterans, thank you for your service, and also a happy birthday to my fellow Marines. My name is Mr. Kackmeyer. For those of you that don't know me, I was a corporal in the United States Marine Corps from 1988 to 1992. How my service has changed me a little bit. It's helped bring me to where I am today. The discipline and the intangible skills that I learned in the military helped me prepare for my career in law enforcement and hopefully a long career here with you guys. I was asked to read a reading from Commandant John Kelly. He was a Commandant of the United States Marine Corps, and it basically lets everybody know what veterans are made of and what their DNA is. So, here we go. Nine years ago, two U.S. Marines from very different walks of life met the first time when they were put on guard duty at 7:30 in the morning. Just minutes later, the pair of Marines guarding the gate in Ramadi, Iraq, were staring down a large blue truck packed with 2,000 pounds of explosives. They could have sought cover like an Iraqi policeman on the scene who ran away and lived. Instead, Lance Corporal John Harder and Corporal Jonathan Yale stood their ground. Their split-second choice saved the lives of 50 people. In 2010, Lieutenant John Kelly, who serves as the Secretary of Homeland Security, told their story to a packed house 4 days after he had lost his own son, Robert, to combat in Afghanistan. He spoke of the 9/11 attacks, the enemy that America was fighting, and praised the brave men and women who volunteered to go overseas since then. Then he moved the remarkable story of these two Marines, which he told the crowd showed the quality of steel in their backs. Here's what he said. 2 years ago, when I was the commander of the U.S. and Iraqi forces, in fact, the 22nd of April, 2008, two Marine infantry battalions, 1-9, The Walking Dead, and 2-8, were switching out in Ramadi. One battalion in the closing days of their deployment going home very soon, and the other just starting its 7-month tour of combat. Two Marines, Corporal Jonathan Yale and Lance Corporal Jordan Harder, 22 and 20 years old respectively, one from each battalion, were assuming the watch together at the entrance gate of an outpost that contained a makeshift barracks housing 50 Marines. The same broken down, ramshackle building was also home to 100 Iraqi police. Also, my men and our allies in the fight against the terrorists in Ramadi, the city, until recently, the most dangerous city on earth and owned by Al-Qaeda. Yale was a dirt-poor, mixed-race kid from Virginia with a wife and a daughter, and a mother and a sister who lived with him and he supported as well. He did this on a yearly salary of less than $23,000. Harder, on the other hand, was a middle-class white kid from Long Island. They were from two completely different worlds. Had they not joined the Marines, they would never have met each other or understood that multiple Americas exist simultaneously, depending on one's race, education level, economic status, and where you might have been born. But they were Marines, combat Marines, forged in the same crucible of Marine training, and because of their bond, they were brothers as close or closer than if they were born the same one. I'm going to try to get through this. When I read this the first time, I got a little emotional. Because being a Marine, it kind of hits the home. The mission orders they received from the sergeant squad leader, I'm sure was something like, okay, you two clowns, stand this post and let no unauthorized personnel or vehicles pass. You clear? And I'm sure Yale and Harder then rolled their eyes and said in unison something like, yeah, Sergeant, with just enough attitude that made their point without saying the words, no kidding, sweetheart, we know what we're doing. Then they relieved the two other Marines on watch and took up their post at the entry control point of Joint Security, Station Nasser in the Sophie section of Ramadi, El Anabar, Iraq. A few minutes later, a large blue truck turned down the alleyway, perhaps 60, 70 yards in length, and sped its way through the serpentine of concrete jersey wire. The truck had stopped just short of where the two were posted and detonated, killing them both catastrophically. 24 brick masonry buildings were damaged or destroyed. A mosque 100 yards away collapsed. The truck engines came to rest 200 yards away, knocking out a house down before it was stopped. Our explosive experts wrecked in the blast was made of 2,000 pounds of explosives. 2 died, and because these 2 young infantrymen didn't have it in their DNA to run from danger, they saved 150 of the Iraqi and American brothers in arms. When I read the situation report about the incident a few hours after it happened, I called the regimental commander for details of something about this struck me as different. Marines dying or being seriously wounded is commonplace in combat. We expect Marines, regardless of their MOS, to stand their ground and do their duty or process. Thank you.
What motivated you to join the military?
Hi, I'm Denny Roach. I served 29 years in the United States Navy from 1968 until 1997 and retired as a surface warfare officer with the rank of captain. I grew up in a very patriotic Navy family. My grandfather was in the Navy in World War I. My father and his 4 brothers were all in the Navy in World War II. I knew that someday I would eventually end up in the Navy myself. I heard growing up all their stories and adventures about their time at sea and the many countries they visited and the adventures they had. When I graduated from college, Vietnam was in full swing, and I wanted to do my duty and serve my country, and I was privileged to be accepted into Navy Officer Candidate School. From there, I spent 29 years. I lived in 7 different states and visited 17 different foreign countries. It was certainly a privilege for me to have served in the Navy, and I would highly recommend it to anyone thinking of doing any military service. I wish a happy Veterans Day to all my fellow veterans. Thank you.
What rank are you most proud of and why?
Hello, my name is Lieutenant Colonel Steve Bartley. I'm currently stationed in South Korea, serving as a battalion commander in the 2nd Infantry Division. I'm a 1994 graduate of Fredonia High School, and the question that was asked of me was what rank am I most proud of and why? For me, it was when I got commissioned as a 2nd lieutenant, mostly because it was at the end of several years of college and advanced training, but also because it marked the beginning of a career in the military, sort of a dedication to the profession of arms. And if I had to do it over, I don't think I would make any decisions differently. It's been great. Some days easier than others, some months easier than others, but all in all, it's been a great adventure and I have no regrets. So wish you all the best and luck, whatever path you choose. Continue and strive to be your best. Don't look back and have any regrets. Thank you much. Bye.
How long did you serve?
Hi, my name is Doug Prince. I was in the United States Air Force for 20 years, from 1980 to 2000. I was retired as a senior master sergeant. I mostly fixed airplanes my whole time, fixing radios and radar and things like that. I had a wonderful experience. I traveled the world. I got to expose my family to different cultures. Overall, I would recommend it to anyone. Thank you.
How did you stay in touch with your family?
Hi, my name is Ferris Master. I'm class of 1987, graduate from Fredonia High School. I'm also a retired lieutenant colonel from the U.S. Air Force. Served 21 years, and I've been asked to talk about communication with my family while I was deployed. Watched that get much better over the years. At first, it was one phone call, maybe every week or so. Then later in my career, we were able to talk with satellite phones. It sometimes worked, sometimes didn't. They were kind of scratchy, and then it got better towards the end of my career, where I could actually call from a phone on my desk directly to my family. Now I still travel to the region a lot on my own, and I'm able to use a lot of commercial stuff: WhatsApp, Skype, Zoom, FaceTime, and that all seems to work exceptionally well. Hope that answers some of your questions, and glad to be with you.
Tell me a little about your time in boot camp.
My name is Timothy Kackmiller. I was a corporal in the United States Marine Corps. I attended boot camp at Parris Island, South Carolina, which is a 12-week boot camp. It takes you from being a regular, everyday citizen and breaks you down and builds you up until you become a United States Marine. And I would say the best day at boot camp is finally the day that you earned your U-boat anchor and you were called a Marine the first time by your drill awestruck because you had earned the title, and that was filled you with such a sense of accomplishment.
What was your job?
Hello, my name is Scott Leroy. In the United States Marine Corps, I was known as Corporal Leroy. My job, or my MOS, was 6062, which is an intermediate level hydraulics and pneumatic mechanic. I made all the flaps on F-18s move.
Can you tell me about the Purple Heart you received?
This is Ed Lawson. I'm a veteran of World War II. I was in the Army Air Force and flew B-29s over Japan from our base on Saipan. Besides flying, I was sergeant of the guard one night, and at 3 o'clock in the morning I heard a buzzing and saw lights flashing. I thought I would go over and get a piece of a Japanese plane that was shot down. It wasn't a plane, it was a big bomb, and my feet were sticking out of the foxhole, and I got wounded. For that I got a Purple Heart. But more importantly, I flew 30 missions over Japan. The day after I got wounded, my plane went down over Japan. It was rammed. All but one of the men were killed. After the war, I visited the families. It was the toughest thing I ever did. But the families were appreciative that I did stop and see them. Thank you. Learn more about the causes of World War II.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dad. Thank you for your service, Grandpa.
Thank you for being a great military role model, Dad.
Thank you, Papa. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service.
Your service will never be forgotten.
Hi, I'm Jess Roticio, the Superintendent of the Fredonia Central School District. On behalf of the Board of Education, our students, staff, and our entire Fredonia community, I just want to thank our veterans for their service. Thank you so much.
At this time, if we could all stand for the playing of taps. Thank you. You may be seated. Before we conclude our program, I do just want to take a minute to say thank you to the members of the New Horizon Band of Western New York that joined us today. We're so happy that you're here. Thank you. Invited veterans, right across the hall there are some donuts and coffee. I hope that you will join us. As for everyone else, you are dismissed to your third period class.